Malik's downfall didn't come like thunder. It came quietly, like slow poison. After the news broke about Amari being the heiress of Mbinga Group, everything in his life started to fall apart. It began with small things. His friends, the same ones who used to laugh loudly at his jokes and call him boss, stopped picking up his calls. The group chats went silent. No more weekend hangouts, no more respect in their eyes. Then, his business started slipping. One by one, clients canceled meetings. Investors backed out without warning. People who once begged for his time now acted like they didn't even know him. And when he walked into his office, the silence was deafening. Whispers followed him down the hallway. Some smirked. Some looked away. Others simply stared at him like he was a joke. His assistant, who once ran around to please him, now worked with half the energy, like she already knew his time was running out. Malik tried to hold on, tried to pretend everything was fine. But the truth was his world was crumbling, and there was no one left to save him. He reached out to Amari again and again. He called. He messaged. He even sent flowers and letters. But her phone stayed silent. She didn't block him. She just ignored him completely. And somehow that silence hit harder than any insult. He would sit at night, staring at his phone, hoping for a reply. Even a single word. But nothing came. Just the same empty screen. His house, once loud with pride and arrogance, now echoed with loneliness. Malik finally realized he hadn't just lost a wife. He had lost a woman who was worth more than gold. And not just because of her wealth, but because of her grace, her heart, her patience. And now he had nothing. Not her love. Not her respect. Not even her voice. He had broken the only person who ever loved him truly. And now he was the one left shattered. Malik couldn't sleep anymore. Every time he closed his eyes, memories of Amari came rushing back, like ghosts haunting him. But this time they didn't make him feel powerful. They broke him. He remembered her tears, how quietly she would wipe them away when she thought he wasn't looking. How she used to wait for him at dinner with his favorite food, and he'd walk past her like she was invisible. How she wore that green dress one evening, smiling and hoping for a compliment, and all he said was, "You look tired." Back then, he thought he was just being honest. But now he saw it for what it really was, cruelty disguised as pride. He mocked the way she spoke, told her she wasn't polished enough, made fun of her clothes, her family, her dreams. And she? She just stood there, hurting in silence, hoping he would change. Now those same moments played in his head like a cruel movie. Only this time he was the one crying. He remembered the night she asked, "Malik, do you even love me anymore?" And he had scoffed, brushed her off like her pain meant nothing. That sentence echoed in his ears now, louder than anything else. His biggest mistake wasn't that he lost her. It was that he never truly saw her. He had a queen beside him and treated her like she was a burden. And now that queen had walked away, head held high, with the entire world clapping for her rise. He read her interviews online, saw her in photos with powerful people, her smile glowing, her strength undeniable. She looked like peace. She looked like she never needed him at all. And that's what hurt him the most. Because in the end, he didn't just regret what he did to her. He regretted the man he chose to be. The man who killed his own love with his own hands. And no apology in the world could fix that. The grand ballroom was filled with the most powerful people in the country. Business tycoons, politicians, media giants. Camera lights flashed from every corner as voices buzzed with excitement. But the moment Amari walked in, the room went silent for a split second. Every head turned. Every eye widened. She wore a navy blue and gold African gown that flowed like royalty. The embroidery shimmered under the lights, and her walk was full of calm confidence. Her hair was styled in a high wrap, her face glowing with grace. She didn't need to speak a word. Her presence alone demanded respect. Just a year ago, she was standing in the background, treated like she didn't matter. Now she was the guest of honor, the woman everyone wanted to meet, interview, and admire. The same people who once ignored her when she was just Malik's wife were now rising from their chairs, clapping for her, trying to shake her hand, hoping to be seen by her. Amari smiled gently but not with arrogance. Her smile carried history, pain, strength, and victory. Her eyes weren't heavy with sorrow anymore. There was no anger. Just peace, like someone who had won a war without ever lifting a sword. On stage, she spoke briefly about leadership and resilience. Her voice was soft but firm, elegant but full of power. Every sentence hit deep. People didn't just hear her words, they felt them. She wasn't just talking about business, she was telling her story without telling it. And everyone in that room knew. They were witnessing the rebirth of a woman who had once been broken but never defeated. Somewhere Malik was watching it all on TV. Seeing her shine, not as his ex-wife, but as the queen he never appreciated. Amari didn't need revenge. Her success was the revenge. And this time the whole world was watching her rise. Malik tried everything. He sent flowers, big expensive ones, boxes of chocolates, handwritten notes, even gifts he remembered she once liked. He wrote long letters pouring his heart out, begging for forgiveness. In one of them he wrote, "I was a fool. I didn't see your worth until it was too late." Another one said, "I miss your smile. I miss your peace. Please just give me a chance to say this to your face." But Amari never replied. Not to a single one. The gifts stayed unopened. The letters were returned. Her number stayed blocked. The silence was loud, louder than any fight they had ever had. Malik would check his phone every morning, hoping for just one message. One word. Even a single dot. But nothing came. He started driving past her mother's house, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. Once he even saw her getting into a car, laughing with a friend. She looked peaceful. She didn't look like a woman who missed him. That crushed him more than any insult ever could. Each ignored letter became a reminder of what he had lost. Not just a wife, but a woman who had loved him with her whole soul. The silence wasn't cold, it was powerful. Amari didn't need to scream, cry, or curse. Her quietness said everything. "You don't deserve to hear my voice anymore." Malik sat in his room at night, surrounded by unopened letters he wrote but never sent. Sometimes he read the ones she used to write when things were good. They smelled like jasmine and they sounded like hope. Now they only made the room feel colder. Regret is a heavy thing. But silence can suffocate a man. And Amari's silence was the loudest punishment Malik had ever known. 1 year later, Amari's birthday didn't look anything like it used to. There was no fancy restaurant, no husband making a show for the world, no forced smiles. This time it was real. She was back at her mother's home in Binga, the same house where she first learned how to dream. The backyard was decorated with fairy lights. African prints hung over tables filled with home-cooked food, and laughter filled the air, real warm laughter. Her close friends surrounded her, the kind who had stayed by her side even when she went quiet. Her mother beamed with pride, watching her daughter glow again. Amari wore a soft green dress with gold embroidery, her natural curls resting on her shoulders. There was peace in her eyes, strength in her smile. When someone toasted to her courage, Amari stood up and gently said, "I didn't ask Malik for freedom. I took it, because my self-respect is bigger than his name, his money, or his ego." Her voice was calm, but it struck everyone deep. That night they danced barefoot under the stars, ate till they were full, and sang songs from their childhood. There were no cameras, no show, just love and truth. Amari had finally reclaimed something she lost long ago. Not just her last name or her independence, but herself. She was no longer that woman who tolerated pain behind a smile. She was no longer the wife who stayed silent to protect a man's pride. She was the woman who walked away, not because it was easy, but because she had finally remembered her worth. Her freedom wasn't handed to her. She had earned it. With every tear she wiped on her own shoulder, every word she didn't say, and every step she took away from the man who thought she was nothing without him. And now on her birthday, surrounded by those who saw her light, Amari knew. This was her new beginning. And she didn't owe it to anyone but herself. The sun was setting slowly over the wide lands of Mbinga, painting the sky with shades of gold and orange. Amari stood quietly on the balcony of her estate, the same land her father once ruled with dignity. She wore a flowing mustard yellow gown that shimmered gently in the evening light. Her dupatta danced softly in the wind, just like her spirit, free, bold, and beautiful. Her eyes scanned the horizon, calm and steady. There was no sadness anymore. No pain. Just peace. A deep kind of peace that only comes after a storm has passed and left you stronger. She wasn't thinking about Malik. Not anymore. That chapter had closed the day she chose herself. Today she was thinking about the girl she used to be. The soft-spoken wife who smiled through disrespect, who stayed quiet to keep the peace. That girl was gone. In her place stood a queen who had reclaimed everything that once felt lost. her voice, her strength, her future. Servants moved gently around the house, respecting her quiet moment. In the driveway below, her company's black SUVs were parked. Inside the estate, her business team was preparing for the board meeting she would lead in the morning. But for now, Amari stood alone, proud and unshaken. She didn't just leave a man. She left behind a life where her worth had to be proven. She had stepped into something greater. Her full power, her name, her legacy. And this time, she wasn't hiding any part of herself.